Hi, I'm Thad White from Ooma, here to talk about how to set up your new Ooma Connect system. As we go through these videos, I'll refer to two major components of the system. The first is the Ooma LTE wireless adapter, and I may refer to it sometimes as the antenna. It's what receives the cellular signal that provides your internet service. And the second component is the Ooma Connect base station. We'll talk about how to connect these devices, how to mount the adapter, how to find the best location and best signal strength to place your Ooma Connect system, and then finally how to integrate it all with your existing network, so your computers, phones, printers, etc. So let's get started. Before you permanently mount your Ooma Connect wireless adapter, you'll want to find a suitable location that has good cellular service. So, where is that typically? Well, we encourage you to mount this in a window if possible. If that's not possible, try to mount it near the perimeter of your building or your facility. The next tip is you want to mount it on the highest floor possible. So if you're in a multi-story building, mount it on the top floor if you can. Try to avoid mounting it in a basement or below grade. Next, you want to avoid large metal objects near the wireless adapter. So, for example, don't mount it on a metal filing cabinet. Don't mount it on a metal wall, steel wall, for example. If you're not able to mount it in a window and you need to mount it on a wall, the best kind of wall is drywall, where the wall is probably hollow. Try to avoid mounting it on brick or concrete or masonry walls, as those can disrupt the signal. Finally, you want to mount it vertically. You do not want to leave it lying on a table as it is here. And we'll talk later about the physical options for mounting it in windows and on walls. And finally, as you're testing locations and testing the signal strength and speed, which we encourage you to do, don't worry too much about the other equipment that you may need to connect this to. We'll talk later about how to bridge that span if necessary. Now let's connect the devices to test signal strength. So the first thing you want to do is remove the front cover from the LTE wireless adapter. On this model, you need to squeeze a little lever on the bottom and slide it off. On other models, removing it may be slightly different. Next, you want to take the IX cable included with your kit and insert one end into the bottom of the wireless adapter. Note that the IX cable connector is keyed, and so it only fits into the port in one direction. So I'm going to try it in the first direction, and if it doesn't fit, just turn it 180 degrees and insert it the other way. When it's fully inserted, you'll hear a nice little click. If you ever need to remove it, you can squeeze these two buttons on the side to remove it. Next, take the other end of the IX cable and insert it into the port labeled LTE on the back of the Connect base station. Again, it only fits one direction, so if it doesn't fit the first time, turn it around, insert till you hear a click. Next, take the power supply and insert one into the base station and the other into an AC socket. Once you've connected the devices and supplied power, you'll notice LEDs begin to light on both. On the base station, the left LED will blink red or be solid red for a few minutes as the base station boots up and gets an internet connection. On the wireless adapter, you'll notice a set of green LEDs. The bottom 5 show the current signal strength. Give it a few minutes to test different towers nearby, to test different frequencies, and find the best configuration. After a few minutes, if you see 4 or 5 bars, you're in really good shape and will probably have good speeds at this location. If you see 3 or fewer, you may want to try a few different locations to get a better signal. Once you've found a good signal, give the base station a few minutes to configure itself. It may require software updates the first time you plug it in, so wait at least 5 to 10 minutes for it to fully come online. Once the base station is fully online, you'll notice a blue LED on the left. Feel free to repeat this procedure as many times as necessary to find a good location in your facility with good signal strength and good speeds. Let's talk about how to mount your wireless adapter in a window. You'll need the mounting bracket, alcohol wipes included in your box, and command strips. First, you want to take the alcohol wipe and clean the area where you want to mount your bracket. This is important so that the command strips adhere well to the glass. Next, you want to take the command strips and adhere them to the back of the bracket. You can tell the back of the bracket because it's the side without writing. Take your first command strip and remove the red backing. Turn it over and place the adhesive side on the bracket such that the tab is protruding above the top of the bracket. Then take your second command strip and do the same. So you should have a back of a bracket that looks something like this. Next, remove the black backing from both sides. Align the bracket where you want to place it and press and hold firmly for 30 seconds. While we're waiting, I'll talk about why we left the tabs protruding. If you ever wish to remove the bracket from the window, you simply pull on these tabs and they'll stretch a surprising amount and release. Okay, now it's been 30 seconds. Now we want to wait 1 hour before hanging the adapter on the mounting bracket. When your hour has passed and you're ready to mount the adapter on the bracket, you want to align the knobs that are on the back of the adapter with the slotted holes in the bracket. You can do that by looking from the side here. And once they're aligned and in, you push down and the bracket will be held in place by gravity. If you ever want to remove the bracket, simply lift up and it comes right off. Now let's install your wireless adapter on a wall. The wireless adapter comes with a mounting bracket that easily slides on the back. You'll notice the slotted holes in the bracket. So you'll need the mounting bracket you'll need a drill with a 3/16" drill bit. You'll need the included packet of anchors and screws and a Phillips screwdriver. It's also nice for alignment and positioning to have a pin to mark some holes and a level and a hammer to get the anchors securely into the wall. All right. To start, we're going to hold up the mounting bracket to the wall in the approximate position we want the adapter. And we're going to mark one hole. Next, we'll take the level and draw a line from the first mark to where the other hole appears. Then place the bracket on the wall again and align the second hole with the level line you just drew, and go ahead and mark it and the remaining two holes. Next, we're going to take our drill and 3/16" drill bit and drill holes at each of the marked positions. Next, we'll take our plastic anchors one at a time, insert them into the holes, and gently tap them into place until they're flush with the wall. Next, put the mounting bracket back on the wall and hold it aligned with the anchors. And take your Phillips head screws and one at a time, insert them in. You may want to wait to tighten them until they're all four in, and then tighten them one at a time. Now you're ready to hang the wireless adapter. Simply look from the side and align it with the slotted holes and push down to lock it into place. If you ever need to remove it, simply lift up and it pops right off. By now you've connected your Ooma devices. Your base station should be online and showing a blue LED on the left. And you've placed the equipment in a location that has a suitable signal strength and wireless connection. So now let's talk about how to connect all your other devices to the Ooma system. If you're using the Ooma Connect as your primary internet connection, you'll have a simple topology like this. The Ooma Connect is connected to the LTE port on the back of your base station. If you want to use the Ooma Connect as a backup internet connection, you'll need to connect your primary ISP's modem to the Ooma Connect base station. Plug one end of an Ethernet cable into your primary ISP's modem, where it's probably already plugged today, and the other end into the WAN port of the base station. WAN stands for Wide Area Network, and it's another way of saying your connection to the internet. So let's talk more about the network topology, which is a fancy way of saying how all the devices fit together. So your downstream devices, your computers, smartphones, printers, etc., all need to connect through the LAN port on the Ooma Connect base station. LAN stands for Local Area Network. So this is basically the port that will distribute the internet connection to your devices. So then the question is, how do you get from one port to lots of devices? So let's talk about the different ways to distribute the connection. The first device that you may already have in your business is a switch. This is an example of an 8-port switch. You'll also find them with 16 ports, 32 ports, and more. A switch basically distributes the connection from one port to all the other ports. So you'll notice there's no difference between these ports. They're all labeled the same way. In the case of a switch, you'll want to connect from the LAN port, again, of the Ooma base station into one of these ports, and that will distribute any signals to all the other ports. So if you already have your downstream devices connected to a switch in your business, that new connection to the Ooma Connect base station should just work. Be sure in that case that you remove your old ISP or Internet Service Provider's connection from the switch before connecting the Ooma base station. The other type of device that you may have in your network is a router or Wi-Fi router. It may look something like this. There are lots of variations, but the main difference from a switch is that the back will have a WAN port and some number of LAN ports, usually 1 to 4. In the case of a router, you want to connect, again, the LAN port from the Ooma base station into the WAN port of your router. Any existing devices then that are plugged into the LAN ports of your router or that are connected via Wi-Fi to your router will just begin to work using the new Ooma connection, the Ooma internet connection. Now let's talk about migrating from your existing internet service provider to Ooma as your internet service provider. There are two cases I want to talk about. The first is if your ISP provides a separate modem, then you probably have a third-party router connected to it. So the modem is a device that connects to some wire coming from your wall. It may be a coax wire for cable internet services, or a telephone wire for DSL, or an Ethernet wire for fiber. In this case, you can disconnect your existing router from your ISP's modem and plug that router into the Ooma Connect base station. In that scenario, all of your downstream devices should continue to work as they work today. The second case is where your current internet service provider supplies you with a combined modem and router. In that case, the wall cord is connected to this device and all your downstream devices are connected to this device. In this case, you'll need to supply a new router or Wi-Fi router. In some cases, your downstream devices may have been configured by an IT professional with specific requirements such as static IP addresses. In this case, you may need to configure your router to support a specific DHCP range or specific IP addresses. Doing that is outside the scope of this video, but you can get instructions from your router manufacturer or from your IT professional. Now let's connect an analog device to the Ooma Connect. This is an analog fax machine. You can also do the same thing for analog phones. For these, simply take the RJ11 jack at the end of the phone cable and plug it in to the port labeled phone on the back of the Ooma base station. For other types of phones, such as wireless DECT phones from Ooma or IP phones, follow the instructions in the manual that came with the phone to connect it to the Ooma base station. So now you've found a location for your Ooma Connect wireless adapter that has good signal strength. One problem you may run into is this location may be far from the rest of your networking equipment or wiring closet. The Ooma Connect comes with a 20-foot cable connecting the wireless adapter and the base station. If that spans the distance, then you're in good shape. If not, you have two options to go farther. Ooma offers an optional 100-foot IX cable that you can buy online or through our sales team. In that case, just replace your 20-foot cable with the 100-foot cable connecting the wireless adapter and co-locate your base station with the rest of your networking equipment. In that case, your setup will look something like this. The other option is to keep the base station close to the wireless adapter in the strong signal strength area and run an Ethernet cable between the base station and the rest of your equipment. Any Cat5 standard Ethernet cable will do. Continue to use the LAN port on the base station and route it to your router or switch in a wiring closet, for example. In that case, your setup will look something like this.